Pisces, welcome. This is your December tarot reading. So far they've been very interesting. What I detect is that for some, not all, the importance of global events is beginning to express itself back at the personal level. Not for all signs. Some signs it's very much still about global issues. But for others, a cycle has ended, a new one's begun, and it's beginning to settle in, and so these seem much more personal. I really don't know about yours yet, Pisces. I'm struck by the central card, the Five of Cups. A cup of glass half empty rather than half full. Looking at those empty cups rather than the full ones behind her. And that stretches throughout the entire reading. In recent past we have deception. Not saying that they got away with the deception. They may have. But that would certainly be a reason to make you feel somewhat depressed, wouldn't it? But right now you're strong. We've been getting that quite a lot recently. It's an inner strength. And it's sort of a reassurance from the universe that whatever is sent to you, you're capable of dealing with it. You're going out searching for answers. Now, Libra had that, and that was a search almost to understand personal psychology. I don't know if that's why you're doing it. But Libra certainly was looking for why deception had occurred. I think you are being charitable towards others. You could be receiving charity, but I think you're being charitable towards others. And that leads to the outcome. What would change the outcome is you hanging around and doing nothing. So if you do nothing, we don't get this outcome. And the outcome is an outcome of self-restraint, which can't be a great thing to be doing. You seem to be restraining yourself because you're maybe concerned about that deception of the past. But nevertheless, if you are being charitable, you're wanting to engage and help others, but maybe you're putting up boundaries between you and them, and maybe they're very necessary boundaries. Looks interesting. I'm not sure I've got right to the bottom of it, Pisces. But I do hope you'll stay around to find out some more. Energy that dominates the entire reading is one of a sort of a glass half empty. To say it's a card of pessimism is maybe putting it too strongly, but it's certainly seeing the negative side of things. Focusing on those glasses that have fallen over, when if she, or is it a he, turns round, he would find full glasses behind him. If he were to think creatively across the Cali, is a lovely dasa which surely has some more full glasses there. So it's a sort of a somewhat negative way of seeing things. And this runs throughout the entire reading, and I have to recognise that. So maybe some of the negativity I pick up on is more to do with your perceptions than an objective situation. Now, we don't know why we are seeing things negatively, but it could be to do with this energy from the past, and that was an energy of deception. I'm sure the deception is against you, whereas for Libra, it was actually Libra who was deceptive. But you can see he knows that he's being deceptive. He's only got 5 of the 7 swords, and he's running away, but looking behind to see if anyone's spotted him. Doesn't mean to say that the deception will be successful. He might even have a change of mind. He's got his hand on the bottom of the swords, so he might even drop them. So, there's every chance that this deception doesn't isn't successful. But it almost certainly has been found out. And that's the reason why you're somewhat pessimistic, for want of a better way of saying it. And the universe has been sending this strength card quite a bit, particularly when people are in, well, I suppose when they're a little bit depressed, or when they don't feel they're up for the challenge that's being sent to them. And it's an inner strength. If you look at the card, it's not the lion that's got the strength, but the girl. I mean, maybe she's taken a thorn out of its paw, and the lion would protect her, but she's not at all frightened of the lion, you know. No, she's the strong one, not the lion. So this is just a reassurance that whatever's going to happen, you are strong enough. You can get through it. Don't worry. You'll be fine. As I say, some of these energies are very like Libra's, although I think it's a very different interpretation that we need. But Libra had a Page of Swords, which is about you going out and seeking information. I don't know what you're seeking information on, but could it be to do with why you've been deceived? Why things happen to you? Why do people behave as they do? I think, like me, you're refusing to accept that it's human nature. Maybe there is a section of society that behaves as they do. I would call them the dark triads, which would include psychopaths and narcissists. But, you know, it's entirely up to you how you see them. But I think it's wrong to sweep it all up and call it human nature. What might be natural for some is most unnatural for others. And in fact, the dark triad, they won't be more than 20% of the population. And so we tend to have laws and arrange society around the behaviour of this 20%. Rather than the majority of people. And it seems to me very wrong that we organise society that way. So I don't know what it is you're going searching out, but you are going and searching out something. What leads to the outcome is the Six of Pentacles, isn't it? I was going to say 7, it's the Six of Pentacles. And this is the card, I mean, I know what it means anyway, because I go by what they look like. It's the card of charity. I'm pretty certain this is you being charitable. It needn't necessarily be monetarily, it could be charitable in your judgments, but I think it is money charity. I think you're seeking to engage with others, and I think in seeking to engage with others, you're wishing to be charitable towards people, because although you've recognised that some people maybe belong to the dark triad, but some people don't behave like this, you've realised that you should be your best self, and always should be. And that actually attracts more good things to you. So, you know, you're doing something that I think is very positive. Now, what would change the outcome is you doing nothing. And I'm certain this is a positive decision to do nothing. To hang around to see the lie of the land. That's interesting, to see the lie of the land before acting. So we've been through a cycle has ended and a new one's begun. This new cycle does emphasise love and charity, but maybe if you were to hold off a little bit more and see what was happening, you'd be better in a better position to deal with it. That's quite interesting, because I'd say being charitable is exactly what you should be, and I'm certain it is. But in your circumstances, having been deceived in the past, maybe you're better off to see how people respond to this new era, a new era of love, a new era of charity, a new era of helping each other. Why I'm speaking a bit negatively is the outcome is the Eight of Swords, which you're putting up self-restrictions. If you look at the card, she's behind those swords, got a blindfold on. She's tied up as well, actually, but she's got a blindfold on. If she was to remove the blindfold, she'd possibly see that the tide's coming in. Might be going out. In fact, it is going out, isn't it? But anyway, when it comes back in, it's clearly dangerous. But if she took off that blindfold, she'd spot that up on the top of that cliff is that lovely desa, where she'd be not only safe, but probably very happy. So she's putting up restrictions to herself, when if she didn't have those restrictions, maybe she could be much happier. And I'm sure that's a response to the deception in the past. And it seems incongruous to be being charitable towards people, but putting up these barriers, because you're almost cutting off your nose to spite your face. But I think we need a bit more clarity on this particular card. First card we get is the Nine of Wands. A test for you, or maybe your resilience. So a bit like that Strength card. We then have the Nine of Pentacles card of poverty. Did that deception plunge you into... It can't have plunged you into absolute poverty because you're being charitable. Or are you receiving charity? Receiving charity and putting up boundaries. Maybe you are receiving charity. I don't think so, though. I don't think so. I think you're more worried about being plunged into poverty. And then we have the High Priestess, which is somebody that does understand the motivation, the subconscious, the unspoken of others. And that would fit in with that Page of Swords, you going out and seeking information. So I think you're putting up these boundaries for good reasons. But hopefully when you've understood things better, you can release them. Let's look at each individually. Yeah, we're getting clarity on these restrictions. And the first card is the Nine of Wands. Now this can be a test for you. You're being tested. Now, given that I've talked about everything has changed, and that we're now in a cycle of love and charity and understanding, then is this a test for you to see how you behave, how you come out of it? In which case, the hanging around isn't the right thing to be doing. It's also about resilience, you know. How resilient are you? Are you up for this? So putting up those boundaries, certainly as a temporary thing, might be an appropriate thing to do. Might be. And we now have the Five of Pentacles, which is the card of poverty. Perhaps no friends. Quite a desperate rendering, this one, actually. Yeah, quite desperate. But in the context of why you're putting up barriers, I think this is a worry you have. You're concerned. So you are being charitable towards others, but you're not allowing people to get too close to you because you've been burnt in the past. That's what I think it is. Now, you're putting up the barriers to yourself as opposed to them. So you haven't worked it out quite what you should be doing. The real way is the Queen of Swords, who puts up appropriate personal boundaries, whereas you're putting up barriers to yourself. But maybe you'll work this out, because remember, you are seeking information. Yeah. And remember I said I think you are seeking out information. Well, I think you are. You're seeking out information on how to deal with sort of psychological issues, including your own, because we have the High Priestess here, and this is somebody with command of their own subconscious, but those of others. And I think that's the information you're seeking out. So you're trying to work out how to deal with these situations. It must have had a massive impact on you, this deception. I mean, you know, I've been under the influence of narcissists all my life. It's only at the age of 65 that I've really understood and broken free. So, you know, I'm not making small of this, you know. I understand the deep impact it's had on you. But I think what you're really searching for, well, I think you're searching for a way of spotting them. And until you get that, you're going to put up the restrictions. But what you really need to be doing is putting up appropriate boundaries, as I say. This is an interesting reading. I think in the past there was a major deception. It might have been the major deception that we've all been subject to. I don't know. I don't know if this is about world issues, you know, global issues, or entirely personal. But it's very much affected you. Well, it's very much affected me, you know, as well. Changed my life, yeah. And like me, you're a little bit pessimistic. You see in the negative side of things. It's a glass half full, half empty rather than half full. And as a result, you're probably missing out on opportunities. Oh, yes, of course, that's exactly what it's about. And the universe is saying to you, look, you're strong. You've got this wonderful inner strength. You can get through it. Don't worry. And you actually know that the world has changed, and the world is now a world of love and charity, and you're being charitable towards others, and that's exactly what the universe wants you to do. Now, you could just hang around and see the lie of the land, and that might not be a bad thing to do, but what you're doing is you're carrying on as you are, but putting up restrictions on yourself. It would be much better if you could seek appropriate boundaries, but you haven't quite grasped those boundaries. And, you know, given the major deception that has occurred with us all, how could we have adequate boundaries for that, you know, when it's the world's elite who are engaged in deceiving us all? So, you know, you could hang around and look, you know, work things out, or you could put up these restrictions to yourself, but it's a shame, because it's like you're seeing things a bit negatively. You're missing out on opportunities. And to a certain degree, this is a test of you. It's a test of your resilience. It's a test of how you will react. You're obviously worried that if there's further deception that you could slip into poverty. I guess we're all somewhat worried about that as well, so I can fully understand these. But you're going off on a sort of a mission to understand what has happened, to understand the psychology of the world almost, to understand your psychology, to understand the psychology of why some people think that it's right to deceive others. And, you know, I've been off on this mission myself, and I can only say good luck to you. But what I can say is that putting up boundaries rather than barriers, appropriate barriers, boundaries to yourself isn't the right way to be doing it. But hopefully it's only short term for you.